I remember our moving company, when they came to our home, everything was packed. All the boxes was ready. They couldn't believe their eyes, but because we've moved so many times, we know how to move. We know how to pack. Now, moving is like transition. And transition isn't always easy, but God always takes us through transition. I love what William Bridges wrote. He said, all transitions are composed of an ending, a neutral zone, and a new beginning. You see, we need to pack those boxes. We need to start. Every transition has a beginning. We need to begin. And there's an ending. Sometimes the ending is a good one. We're looking forward to the ending. But then there's this transition. There's this in-between, this neutral zone, this in-between time where you start to pack and you realize you're going to leave your friends behind. You think about what you're losing. Sometimes you think about what you're gaining. But there's this in-between zone. Now God also had a transition for the people of Israel. See, they were living in Egypt. Now this is a satellite photo of Egypt. This is the Nile and the Nile Delta. It's the most fertile ground in the whole of Egypt. And this is where they lived, on top. They had everything. So sometimes we read about their move, their transition, and we think it was actually good. But for them it was tough, it was bad. They were living for hundreds and hundreds of years in the most fertile place. This is a close-up satellite photo, satellite image of the delta. The green is because of all the plants, all the fruit trees, everything green that is in that space. And this is where they lived. They had to move, they had to transition from here. Now we think it was an easy transition, but I think for them it was bad. All they knew was this space, this place. And they had to move to somewhere else. They had to move to a land that's overflowing with milk and honey. They had an image, this is where we're going, but they've never seen it before. We see the green of Israel. That's where God was taking them. But smack bang in the middle was a desert. And they had to cross the desert. Now they thought, this journey is going to be easy. If you Google this, you will see that it should have taken them about 3 to 5 days to move from there to there. But it took them 40 years. You see, God was easy for God to take them out of Egypt, but it wasn't easy to get Egypt out of them. It took 40 years to get Egypt out of the Israelites. And sometimes we're in a transition. We're in the land between. We're in the desert. We're in a space that's not easy. We're going somewhere. Hopefully it's the land of milk and honey. But right now, what we're experiencing right now isn't nice. It's tough. It's desert. It's the land between. It's that neutral zone. Limbo. Richard Rohr wrote about this, and he said that no pope, no Bible quote, no psychological technique, no book nor guru can do your journey for you. That's a tough thing about this journey, because nobody else can do it for you. And that was tough for the Israelites, because nobody could do this for them. They had to do this on their own. And then they could decide how long it will take. For them, they decided, we're going to murmur, we're going to complain, we're going to lose our faith, and we're going to keep circling the desert. I like what DC Talk wrote. They sang the song, So Help Me God. And whenever I go through a transition or a tough time, this song really helps me. They said, so help me God, to put my faith in you, So help me, God, before I come unglued. Because the one thing that we sometimes lose is our faith. See, we go through pain. Transition is pain. Transition isn't easy. Richard Rohr wrote about the pain. He said, all great spirituality is about what we do with our pain. If we do not transform our pain, we will transmit it to those around us. So when we go through transition, when we're in that land between, we experience pain, and we need to decide what we do with the pain. Do we take it to God? Do we come and say, God, here's my pain. I bring it to you. Or do we transmit this pain to others? Murmur. How can God do this? How can He take me into this desert? How can I be in this situation? This transition is too difficult. And sometimes we transfer the pain that we're feeling onto others. So what do we do with the pain? We need to bring it to God. When we go through this desert, our faith gets tested. God is testing our faith. He's not testing it so that we can become weaker. He's testing it so that we can become stronger. You see, the only real thing that grows in the desert is our faith. Can become stronger. Viktor Frankl had a very difficult transition. He was locked in a Nazi concentration camp. And he had to experience the toughest of tough every day in his life. But he wrote this and he said, forces beyond your control can take away everything you possess except one thing. Your freedom to choose how you will respond to the situation. You see, we can respond to our transition. We can respond to the land between in a negative way. We can murmur about it. We can complain about it. But he's suggesting something else. You see, you cannot control what happens to you in life. But you can always control what you will feel and do about what happens to you. You see, that's the part that we can control, is how we feel and how we react to that. And he decided that I'm going to react with happiness. I'm going to react with joy. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say please. Where all the other people decided they're going to complain. He decided to say thank you, please. And it made them mad. They got more mad. But he still decided, in this transition, I will be thankful. And I think for us, if we can do the same thing in our transition, in our land between, the space, the desert, whatever you want to call it, limbo, is to be thankful. To say, I choose not to be negative, but I choose to be positive. So what are you going to do during your transition? How are you going to react? What are you going to do with your faith during this time? Are you going to bring your pain to God? Are you going to transmit it onto other people?